So let's look at a scenario where we're using a formula instead of the table or instead of the TVM solver in our calculators. So every month, let's assume at the end of every month, we're depositing $175 into an account earning 1.2% annual interest, right, APR. But we're going to compound monthly. And in fact, for most of these, we're going to assume we're compounding monthly. That's generally how things operate. So let's figure out how much is in the account after, say, 8 years. Well, if we were to use a table, we would have to have 96 rows, 8 years times 12 months. We'd have to have 96 rows to walk through all of this. That would be a big pain to do. So a formula is a little bit faster way to do this. So the formula is going to say, okay, our future value or our account balance, it's going to be a big fraction, so it's going to look a little bit ugly here. In the top, we're going to have our deposit, meaning our regularly deposited amount. And then I'm going to use brackets here just to kind of denote like, hey, a couple things are happening, because inside of here we'll have some parentheses. So inside of here we got 1 plus APR over 12. And it's over 12 because we're dealing with monthly compounds. So 1 plus APR over 12. And then this power is going to be the total number of compounds. So if we have a value in years, then we'll say, okay, 12 times y, where y is in years, minus 1, and that's all in the brackets, but it's important to note that, right, the 12y is getting applied only to this portion. Okay, that's all in the top of the fraction, and then in the bottom of the fraction we have APR over 12 again. So we can just plug in the various pieces we have. There's also a version of this formula that frames things in terms of, you know, a monthly interest rate, which is basically just APR over 12, and a number of months, but that's essentially what we're doing. So if you do have, instead of like 8 years, if you have something like 8 months, right, keep in mind this thing up here is just a total number of compounds. So you can just put in 8 if it's already in months. Okay, so let's plug in the various pieces we have. So we have a regular deposit of 175. And then again, the brackets I'm just putting in for clarity, just trying to note like, hey, we got parentheses and, you know, a big action happening here. So 1 plus, now let's be careful with our APR. We don't want to put in 1.2. We want to convert this to a decimal. So 0.012, right? Move that decimal over 2 places. So 0.012 divided by 12 to the 12y. Again, y in this case is measured in years. So 12 times 8. All of that stuff, we're going to subtract 1. And when you're putting this into your calculator, parentheses are going to help you out a ton. So if you see parentheses here, definitely include it in your calculator. In fact, especially if you have like certain calculators that don't show raising this power, again, more parentheses are better. So if it helps you to toss in like an extra pair of parentheses here, great, do it. You generally won't get in trouble having too many parentheses. You could get in trouble having too few. Okay, so that's all in the numerator. And then we want to divide it by our APR, again, 0.012. So turn it into a decimal, divided by 12. Okay, if we punch all that stuff in and, right, if we used our parentheses correctly and what have you, then we should get 17,623.60 if we round. Something to keep in mind is how much of this was actually our money. So, you know, how much did we contribute? Well, we contributed, right, in this case, our contribution, right, we made $175 payment or deposit, every month, so we can say times 12 over the course of 8 years, so times 8. So we can figure out, if we just punch that in, we can say, great, how much of this money was mine? Because some of it is ours and some of it is from interest. So if we do that, we get 16,800 was coming out of our pocket. So the difference between those two numbers is what you gained in interest over the course of that period of time, right? So this is somewhere in the ballpark of 800 bucks, which again, you're sort of getting for free. That's the nice thing about interest that you're earning. So you could ask a lot of questions based off of this account balance. What is the account balance? How much did we contribute? Or what is the interest that was earned? So the difference of those two numbers.